In the Wild West world of podcasting, there is one podcast that is authentic and genuine and continues to stand tall in its originality. Based on a passion for his guests, their work, and his love of podcasting, Derek Thomas and Monday Morning Critic Podcast get amazing, diverse, unique guests found nowhere else. The variety and quality are endless. There is something for everyone. Derek Thomas is the hero you deserve. He's a silent guardian, a watchful protector. Welcome to Monday Morning Critic Podcast. Here is Derek Thomas.
Which one of you is Eugene? Hi. I'm Stephanie.
You can currently find Chelle Ramos as Stephanie in the current and final season of The Walking Dead. Chelle, welcome to the podcast today.
Thank you so much. I'm so happy to be here.
So I kind of I love with each guest trying to piece together their early goings, especially if I can't really find a clear definition of what their early life was like. So born in Pensacola, Florida, or near Pensacola, Florida, Chelle?
No, right in the heart, Pensacola, Florida, born at Sacred Heart Hospital.
So what kind of kid were you? I mean, were you the drama arts kid? Were you a sports kid? Were you a little bit of both? Were you none of the above? What kind of kid and teenager were you?
You know, it's so funny because I didn't actually start having an interest in acting until after 19, 20 years old. But when I was a kid, God, I was I would make my brothers do everything. When I say everything, I would make them be. Do you remember Cleopatra? The infomercial?
Yes.
I would dress them up as Cleopatra. I would take a glass bowl and put the syringe over their self and make it. I mean, I would make them do everything. I would put them in cheerleader outfits, and then I would just direct. I would have this video camera and direct them. And I had no idea why. My parents, they were in the military. They were for the army. I had no artsy influence at all.
So
I don't know. That's what it was.
Yeah, no movie growing up, no actor growing up that you were wow. I mean, that's my parents. They didn't allow us to watch TV that much. They wanted us to be outside playing in the clay pits and in the woods. They wouldn't let us really watch TV all that much. I mean, when my mom was at work, let me tell you, when we were 16 years old, my mom would be at work and we would have the summer time off and we would be watching MTV and we weren't allowed to watch MTV or BET or any of them. And, they would let us watch every now and then, TV shows and stuff, but we never grew up watching TV. So I didn't really know what it was about, the whole world of the industry. That's so funny. It's funny that considering how the way, that, what you've just said, considering where you are now, boy, I don't hear that story all the time. It's usually somebody decided to, so it makes where you are now even that much more impressive, Chelle.
Yeah, I think I still every time I get an audition or if I get on set, it's still so fun for me. And I don't know if it's because I grew up having we would make imaginary, if we were in the woods by ourselves, what kind of porridge will we make? It was never really actory stuff. It was just like survival mode,
right?
More
right.
so.
And researching your life, and it seemed like everywhere I was researching, it always made reference of like your heritage, right? They would say Asian, Caucasian, and I'm like, not that it matters, but I'm thinking, okay, Ramos is could be a Latino name. I totally didn't realize it was Filipino, like on your
yeah,
that's it. And I'm thinking to myself, oh right, that's right, because I bring that up because one, it seemed to be popping up a lot, but two, I feel like with your look and your heritage, the beautiful look that you have, the unique look that you have, it really opens up a lot of doors with your ability, right? Or am I being way too specific, right? But because I feel like you could fit into a lot of different roles that people are casting for movies, right? Different types of genres.
Yeah. It's so interesting that you say this now, just because so ethnically ambiguous, that's kind of like my niche because I can't fit into like full-blooded Asian or full-blooded or Hispanic. But it's been really interesting because my manager and my agents, and over the past couple years, we've been kind of trying to pull away from something that's not my heritage. So I did one of those 23andMe things, and I'm actually no Hispanic of any.
Right.
Like I am Filipino and I am German. And I think because of how much race is going on right now, I don't feel right telling a story that's for a Spanish woman. And that didn't used to be maybe like a few years ago, but now it's just like, wow, like that needs to go to a Hispanic woman. She needs to tell that story because that is her heritage. Just like I being Filipino, like I want to see my Filipino people on TV. You know what I'm saying? And
right.
that doesn't go to, that's not negating like, somebody's talent. It's just, there's something being in the roots of it. And especially just like with race and all of this like happening right now, like as we speak, I think it's really important. Now, if it says like, if it's like a, of mixed race, obviously, yeah, like that's right up my alley. But if it's specifically for a Hispanic girl, I've kind of pulled away from that a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's a weird thing to bring up, but I'm like, you know what? I'm going to give it a shot and just ask her about it because I feel like,
I love it.
And I feel like even to some degree, there's movies about Native Americans and, I'm watching everything. But you're right. It's kind of funny now that you talk about it. You kind of want the person with that heritage, with that background to tell that story. That's kind of an interesting point, Chelle, that you're bringing up.
Yeah. And I think it's just, I think it's just important. I think that I wish that there was more like, of ethnically ambiguous, because there's a big group of us that like we're half and half, and like there's really not a lot of stuff that is specifically written for halvesies. So that's all coming. I'm not worried about it, and I think whatever comes to my future is going to happen for me. But yeah, it's interesting, and I wouldn't want to take that away from another race.
Yeah, so looking at your resume, right, very impressive. But I was dying all day to ask. You this. Tell me about Universal and a Minion and a Mummy Princess. Tell me about those days.
Wow, I was not expecting you to say this. I was expecting you to say like Ray Liotta or Al Pacino, but this is great. Amazing. I started off at Universal. So I was a dancer up until I was about like 18, 19 years old, and then I went on a trip to Orlando, and they had like at Universal Studios, they had these like auditions going on. I was like, okay, like I'm gonna go try it for the Mummy Princess. And so I went to go audition. Really wasn't thinking anything of it. I mean, again, I was on vacation, came back home, and I was working at Cox Communications. And like 2 weeks later, they called me up and they said, hey, we want to offer you a contract. And I was like, I'm sorry, what? And I was in Pensacola. Like I went back to Pensacola. So I put my 2 weeks in at Cox Cable, and I came over, and it was very, very, very good for me. Really good foundation. Very different from dancing. So yeah.
Chelle, what'd you learn about yourself in those days? Because I gotta imagine that's a difficult way to. I mean, it's like your foot in the door, right? It is acting because you are performing, right? I mean, so what did you learn about yourself? Was it how to approach crowds, how to perform? Is there anything performance related you learned from that experience?
Yeah, I think so. So being a dancer on stage, like you're away from the audience. They're like way far back. When I was a Mummy Princess, So the Mummy Princess also did not speak. Like, she just used her body language and her eyes. Like, that was her like thing. And so when I got that role and I was in training, it's like, holy cow, like I am learning this whole like new side of myself, that how to converse without language, without dialogue. So it was a lot of body language and a lot of eye contact, and how powerful you can be that with that energy that you give yourself. So that was a really cool, you asked some really good questions, because I've never had these questions asked to me before.
Yeah, thank you. And that's a really good thing that you bring up, though. Like, you know, the acting without, you know, necessarily what's coming out of your mouth. It's kind of the gestures, the mannerisms. Yep. That's a huge part of acting, too. I never even thought about that.
Yeah. And I was very fortunate to have that being like my first acting, like, I guess, gig. I mean, it is theme park acting, but it is like, that was my first thing. Like, I never had any training as an actor before that. And so it was a very good, like, step into the acting world.
Yeah. And in a weird way, you're kind of like, so I mean, some actors, like, they fulfill roles, like, but people that existed, like, if an actor played Elvis or Marilyn Monroe or whatever, but like, in a different way, you know, there's kids that absolutely love the Minions. So you're kind of fulfilling their dreams by kind of doing what, you know what I'm saying? Like, you're providing that reality to kids. So that's kind of a cool thing.
Yeah. I think, like, being in TV and film, you don't get to reach those crowds because you're on everybody's television set, you know? And I think, like, being able to see, like, the physical, like, bodies, like, and the happiness of their faces, it's so fun. It was awesome. So fun. I miss it. Yeah.
Yeah. So this next question, everyone always takes it as kind of like, oh, this is where I got the most notoriety, where I made the most money. But what do you consider your big break, right? The moment where you kind of said, oh my gosh, I can make this happen. Like, this acting thing is pretty, I'm pretty good at it. I can do this. And when I ask, you know, what's your big break? People always say, I got that role on Star Wars, or I got that role with this director. But what do you consider? I mean, maybe it is something like that for you. I don't know. But what do you consider your big break?
It's so funny. I think the one that I was like, oh, well, good God, here we go. I played a girl named, God, I can't remember the name. It was on a Graceland. It was my first guest star role. And I've only been in the game for like maybe like 8 months or 9 months or something like that. And I played a meth addict, and it was a guest star role. Laura Tang, that was her name.
Gotcha.
And she was a meth addict. And I had this really weird thing growing up. I don't want to say weird. I always found people that are like intoxicated with either drugs or alcohol to be very, very interesting. So I would look up, like, and this was way before acting. I was like maybe like 14, 15 years old. I would look up people and listen to their stories on like YouTube or like interviews, or like look up the 2015 people that have been intoxicated and got arrested. Like, I really don't know what that was. And so it kind of like, in a way, like prepped me for that role when I got that audition. Because when I did that audition, like, I didn't have anything. I had like co-stars here and there on my resume. But when I got that, I was like, dang, like, this was a very, very interesting. And then when I was on set, like, I was thrown into different things, and they were giving me these like squibs and blowing me up. And, but I kept everything. I was just like, just stay present. And like, you know, some of the people that came up and they were like, you know, really great job. And on the inside, I was like freaking out, because I was like, this is the biggest role I've got. So I think that was the one. Yeah. That started everything.
And you bring up like a really good point. So like playing somebody that's either inebriated or high or drunk, whatever. I feel like it can either go, Chelle, really, really bad, or like really, really well. Like, I feel like it's a really tricky thing to do, because some people oversell it so much it's just comical, and some people just absolutely nail it where they see the face of addiction, right? So that's kind of a tricky line too, right, Chelle?
Oh yeah. I think you have to. I think that it's very important to do like research. If you've never been in that situation, then you actually have to like do the research of the people that have been in that situation. And I don't know the people that do it more of like the comical. Maybe if that doesn't even come off.
No, I mean not intentional.
It comes off.
Yeah.
Right. It's like push. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know if they and I'm not, you know, discrediting anybody's like, you know, actor research and stuff, but like you really do have to either put yourself there or you have to do that, have empathy and look up those situations that have happened to those people, listen to those stories. So that's what I did.
Yeah, well said. And for those listening, you've been in Outer Banks, great role there. The Purge, the television show, The Gifted. We're going to get to The Walking Dead in a moment. Usually I save the most recent work for the end, but I want to bring this one up first because I was reading the premise on this online. Long, Slow, Exhale looks pretty damn good, Chelle.
Yeah.
From the description, it seems like a really very serious, very real world issue. Is there anything you can say about that, or is that a little bit too early for you?
I think it's a little bit too early, but I mean, it was my first time be able to play a young mom. And that's something that I haven't done before yet in my acting, TV and film acting career.
Right.
And the girl that I got to play opposite, she's a very, very good actor. But I don't know how much I could say. I'm sorry.
That's okay. Of any role you've had, Chelle, which role is closest to who you really are, you think?
To who I really am. I would maybe say Sarah Williams of The Purge.
Right.
Sarah Williams on The Purge or Shades of Blue. Because I in my everyday life, my boyfriend makes fun of me so much, but like I am really happy sometimes, and I also can get really sassy. And I grew up with my brothers, and my sister was a tomboy too. So like I think that any kind of like more hardcore is my thing. Yeah.
Yeah. Good answer. And this is the last season of The Walking Dead, and for those listening, very emotional. It's emotional as hell for me. Been with the show from the beginning. How does the process work? And I'm sure you've been asked this before. I've heard from various casts of The Walking Dead, the audition. Sometimes they come in to read for one part, they get another. It's blatant.
Exactly what it was.
Yeah. Okay. It's okay. Talk about anything you could say about that audition outside of that.
Well, my name was Jessica in it. But they have to do that, because there's such a huge following on The Walking Dead, and they have to do like dummy sides because that stuff can get leaked, emails can get hacked. So I get it, but it was kind of in the same vein of like what I'm doing right now on the show. They were just different words and different names.
Right. And when you find out, hey, you've got the part, are you beside yourself? Or are you like, wow? I mean, you're not really new to like good opportunities because you've had a bunch, right? So, are you kind of, what's your reaction when they say, oh, you know what, we want you, come on aboard, you're in. Are you kind of, ecstatic?
Well, for Walking Dead, I was really ecstatic because like when I first moved here to Atlanta, I want to say it was like 8-9 years ago. I mean, that was the show to book. It's like, oh my God, this is the show. Like, and every audition that I got, I was like, put my big girl pants on and like went in. And then like, I didn't really think, I don't want to say that I didn't think too much of it, but I was like, you've been in the game for like a long time and other stuff comes up and it's like, oh, okay, cool. And then when I got this, it just made me smile because it's very nostalgic and it's the last season. So I got the opportunity to do that when it was such a big, huge hype when I first came to Atlanta,
Yeah. And do you find that, were you a fan of the show? I mean, I know people talk from an acting point of view, right? To get booked on the show is like such a big honor, but were you a fan before even all of that took place?
Yeah.
That's
great.
I
was a big fan. I mean, I didn't watch all the way up into like what I was auditioning for, but yeah, it's just a really wonderful show. I got a chance to talk to like Josh, who plays Eugene, and he was telling me that he was supposed to be killed off like in season like 5 or something. Wow. And that just goes to show you like that's one thing my very first acting teacher told me, Yvonne Suhor. She passed away just a couple years ago. She passed away, but she said, your job is not to book the role. It's for having the writers write you in. And it's been, and that's always stuck with me. And I've been very fortunate to like, I come on with like a couple episodes and then I'm getting written in. And that's exactly what Josh said too. He said, look, when you give a good character, the writers they're like want more of it, and the fans and all this stuff, and it's great. You just get lost in the story, and that's what everybody wants. you know?
No, that's awesome. And speaking of the cast, you know, one of the things I love about the cast is how diverse it is, but so naturally diverse, right? So a couple episodes ago, I'm watching you. You're amazing. I'm watching Lauren Ridloff, who plays Connie in the episode with those creepy people crawling in the walls of the house. Unbelievable performance. I mean, this show really is. I mean, it's a very diverse show, but so effective in its diversity, right? That's one of the things. That's one of the 10,000 things I love about this show.
Yeah, it really is, and everybody. I think what's so great about it too, and how like the longevity of like shows, so like Walking Dead, like Friends, all those ones that have like 20, 15 seasons. They have to have a really good behind the camera crew. And I'm telling you what, The Walking Dead is hands down the best behind everybody like just works as a really well-oiled machine. Everybody loves each other. And I mean, that's what we need right now in this world, especially right now. But it's very cool to see that they were all so welcoming of, I mean, I'm a much smaller character than the ones that have been on, but they treat you like you're part of this crew now. So that's what I think it's kind of like sad that it's ending. But yeah.
Yeah, but in a way, it's bittersweet for you, right? Because you get this nice role. You get a nice role on this one of the best shows of all time. But you know what? You're still in the last season, so it's a very memorable kind of thing. So that's a good thing too, you know.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So let me ask you from a couple nerd questions here. So I go back and forth with so many people on this, and I've gone back and forth with it, probably spending too much time thinking about this. And I think the show right now is focused on it. So really, they're doing a really great job of it. So does Negan deserve redemption? Right. So you think about what he does, and he does it in front of a pregnant Maggie. He totally the way it happens. You know, at first I'm like, this guy deserves redemption, and now I'm thinking, there's no way in hell after what he did, he deserves a benefit of the doubt. Like, I don't know. I believe in a sense because you mentioned society today, right? We're all about redemption, and so we should be about redemption, second chances, treating people with kindness, so forth. But when you look at the situation, like, I don't know, does he deserve it? Does he deserve redemption?
I don't. It makes me really like think about like where he came before all of this.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like how many times did he have to did his parents beat him? Did he grow up in a really bad, upbringing? So like when I think anytime that I think about like bad people, and I've played like, bad characters before too, but anytime I think about that, I'm like, there's just love that's not filled. And so like I don't know. Obviously, yeah, him doing that in front of Maggie, like, no, but I don't know. I have a certain like love for bad guys, so I'm probably not the best person to ask.
Yeah, how would you do in an apocalypse? How would Chelle do in an apocalypse? Zombie apocalypse.
Oh, look. I honestly, I don't even know how to answer that question because I feel like we're on the way to that. So like,
we were close.
Yeah.
We were close a couple of years ago. We're pretty close.
Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah.
I'm trying to learn my knife skills and nunchuck skills. So we'll see. We're trying that.
so let's talk about your character, right? I have a sneaking suspicion, right, that the term for your character, the snitches get stitches. I really feel like that applies for. I don't want you to say anything that's going to put you in jeopardy, but I don't think she is who she says she is. That's just me. I don't know. I think Eugene's headed for a heartbreak. I don't know why I'm asking this right now because I don't think you can answer it, but. I think she's a little bit of a narc, I think. And I'm a little worried, Chelle. I just feel like you need to know that.
Oh, I need to know that about me.
Yeah, I think you need to know that about you. Yeah, I think you need to know that. Right.
I love it. I so wish that I could talk about it, but I cannot. But I love how enthused you are. This is like makes my heart so happy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And fans break it down so much. I mean, fans are like so into it, and
they are so into it.
Yeah, and there's people. I mean, they have touring buses that go by the filming locations, and how close are you with with Josh? I mean, are you guys before you shoot scenes? Are you guys talking through? Do you guys have a walkthrough? Does that ever happen?
Yeah, we like talk it out and stuff like that. But like I don't know. It depends on sometimes the director too, because like there's some directors that like a couple of directors that I worked with on the show. They want to just go in there organic and see what happens. And then there's other ones that are like a little bit more like want to make sure they're doing everything. So, but with Josh in particular, we usually talk about it, but I think him and I both are more about the organic side and seeing what happens in the moment, not like trying to plan everything out.
Yeah, and you know, you're with some great act. I mean, you exchange these with Kari Payton, who's just phenomenal. You know, so you're surrounded by some pretty damn good actors.
They are great. I swear I learned so much by just sometimes when I'm not even in the scene. I'm just watching in Video Village. I'm like, wow, like, golly, I just learned so much. And that's not with just Walking Dead. Like that's with any set. It's just great watching other artists do their thing, you know?
Yeah, and you're smart to say, because it's smart that you say that, because I feel like there's some people who go on a set and don't take advantage of that opportunity, right? They're not watching these actors just be phenomenal in their own, you know, and people may be watching you thinking the same thing, Chelle, right? So I just think actors or people in general, whatever your job is, you can learn from other people.
Yeah, and you know what? I think it's really hard when you're not secure with yourself to be looking through that kind of lens. When you're insecure, I don't know how open you can be to be like, okay, I can learn from this person. I think people just really have to really pay attention to their own self and their own well-being, and then they can invite and see through that lens. Because I don't know, when you stay in a bubble of like allowing these insecurities to take over your life, you really do stay small and you stay mediocre and average. So I think it's really important that, like, you know, whenever you can learn from other artists, to make sure that you're in the good headspace, because it can also backfire and you can get really down on yourself too. And I've been there too, you know? So
is there any pressure on your end, knowing that what you're doing, that millions and millions of people are watching what you're doing? I mean, obviously you're a professional, and that, all that stuff aside, I get that. But are you ever? I mean, that's a lot of. I was watching you, you know, Sunday, and I'm just processing. I'm like, God, I would feel a lot of pressure. I mean, do you feel that, or it doesn't matter if there's 10 people watching you or millions? You're still going to do that same performance. Do you ever think about that watching the show?
Oh yeah. I think it goes in and out. I think like, if I'm aware of like everything that's going on outside of just me and, you know, my co-star, whoever's I'm playing opposite, then I can be like, okay, I'm putting that pressure on myself. But you know, I have certain mantras that I put in my head, and I'm just like, hey, we're right here with Josh. It's just you and him. There's nobody else even here. So I have to mentally sometimes do that. It's not, you know, I think it comes and goes. But like, yeah, I mean, it still happens to me. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And, you know, and one of the things that they do really well, and obviously you're in these episodes, is the Commonwealth almost feels like a dream, right? Because the show in itself, it's so bleak. It's like, it's very like, the colors are very dull. Then all of a sudden the Commonwealth, you're looking at donuts that have this crystal clear color to them. You're looking at these scenes. So I feel like the Commonwealth almost feels like a haze and a kind of a dream. It's so perfect. It's almost like this is the world before the apocalypse hit. And I think The Walking Dead did such a great job of portraying that.
Yeah. Oh my God, they did. I mean, it's like a fantasy like land, and I think it's been so fun, like, you know, watching like how they edited the episodes and stuff like that. Because Eugene has never been to anything like this in so long, and so like it was really fun. I think like whenever I got to witness him being in this world for like the first time in a very, very long time. But yeah, oh my God, the set decorators, like everybody's just so incredibly amazing. Like their artistry, like when it comes to bringing something to life, is so powerful.
Yeah, and Stephanie is huge in the comics in the Commonwealth, so there's that as well, and there's whatever little changes the show might bring to us. Who are you closest to on set, or does it not matter? Is it just all about the scene, right? We talk about, you know, just, you know, observing, looking at things. Is there somebody that you gravitate to? It doesn't have to be an actor. I mean, whether it's Angela Kang or somebody that's directing, is there anybody that you kind of are closer to than, you know, that you can, I don't want to say confide in, but that you have a good rapport with?
Yeah. You know, I they've been actually keeping us, because of COVID, they've been keeping us like, you know, days that we don't have to be there, or times that we don't, or shooting all of my scenes in one day so they can like, you know, not have me on their other days. So I haven't got a chance to like get really close to really anybody. I mean, Josh, I talked to quite a bit, but I mean, as far as like getting real close, they've been, keeping us apart a little bit,
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Is it hard to keep a straight face with Josh at times because Eugene is so insane. Like I'm like, what is he talking? Like he invents it. He's got his own language at this point, and it's so well done. But
my God.
On your end, that's got to be tough to keep a straight face.
But it's so funny. He is so. Have you met him before?
I have a few Comic-Cons. Yes.
He is so. Well, as Eugene, I'm sure he has to keep his character going on. As Josh, he is so different from Eugene.
Yes.
And I love it because
Yes.
it just shows how great of an actor he is. He's incredible. But yeah, he's so funny though. Like some of his jokes, like because he was a stand-up comedian before he got into acting.
Right.
Yeah, he's a funny man. He is funny.
And
very, very real. Yeah.
Yeah, he couldn't be further from the person he plays, which, like you said, is even more impressive.
Yeah, I say I've never been to a Comic-Con. Is he himself or is he Eugene?
Well, no, he's himself, but there are people that dress up as Eugene, and there's the whole cast shows up, and that's one of the other things I wanted to ask you. One of the things, and I hope we get back to normal with Comic-Cons, but that's one of the things. Like right now, you're in the universe, Chelle. You have no choice. So Comic-Cons are a part of that. Hopefully, other doors opening for you are a part of that.
Yeah.
Have you ever been to a Comic-Con? Is that something that you would like to do one day in the future?
Oh my God, I would love to. I just have never been. I've never actually been to a Comic-Con before. But Josh told me I think it was on the first or second week of shooting or something like that. He goes, "Oh yeah, you're gonna have people dressing up as you." It's like, oh, all right. Well, I guess we're going. And then my agents and manager told me that it's very possible that that's gonna be happening in the future. So I don't know with COVID. I don't know what that's looking like. So.
Yeah, one of the things. I live by Boston, and I was going to go to the Boston Comic Con, but I was looking at, I was going to cover it, but then I have a 1-year-old. I'm like, I don't want to risk it. So, a lot of the, they take selfies with the people that they admire and so forth. There was plexiglass at the Comic Cons now, and I'm like, and I get why it makes perfect sense, but it kind of takes away from the Comic Con experience. You know what I'm saying? And I'm selfishly saying that as a fan. I totally get why it's happening. You know what I'm saying? So I hope for that return. Chelle, to something normal. That's what I'm hoping for.
Yeah, I hope so too, because I don't know, because I know that there's other shows that have Comic-Cons, but Walking Dead is one of the main ones, and I think that's why they have such a great following, because they do get to engage with all of the stars. It's just so cool. So I'm with you. I hope that they bring it back and that everything will go back to normal, especially with the vaccines and all of that kind of stuff that's going on. I hope that we get back to normal with that, because that would be so much fun.
Yeah, and I don't know if your parents or your siblings are with us or if they're not, but they must be so happy for you. Obviously you've had success before this, but they must be beside themselves watching their daughter or sister on stage. That's got to be so cool for them.
Yeah,
on TV, not on stage, on TV. Yeah.
Yeah, my family, they have been with me every single step of the way. Through the tears, through the rejections, through everything, and every time, they're celebrate, yeah, they're so excited. Yeah, I got a good family. Mm-hmm.
Are you done? I don't know if you're allowed to say anything about this, but are you done filming your part? Or are you still filming? Has that wrapped for you? I don't know if that's really a spoiler, or I don't.
Yeah, I'm still going.
Wow, yep. How great is that? Yeah, and does. I know you said COVID messes with your, not messes, but it people have to be very careful, and it sounds like AMC and The Walking Dead are doing all the right things. But does it mess with the audition process too? I know people are still doing, they send in the videos of, whatever they're asked to do, but has it tinkered with that for you too, Chelle?
No, I don't think so. We have to do a lot of COVID testing. The Walking Dead, they require three negative tests. And so I just have to go down and go test. And then for Long Slow Exhale, it was the same process, not as many, but it's just testing beforehand. But no, I don't think so. I actually think it's been a lot better, because pilot season usually is in LA or New York, and everything is taped right now. So, and I've heard mixed things about casting directors, either, going back to normal or in the future, not right now, obviously, but in the future, and then, or sticking to just doing self-tapes. So I kind of like the self-tapes, because then I don't have to go to LA or New York for pilot season. It's just like, I'm over here, just got really dope camera equipment, and that's it, you know?
Yeah, and the two of the bigger, going back to, you know, your audition and Atlanta, two of the bigger Comic Cons I've been to, it's one, but 2 years was in Atlanta. It was the big Walking Dead Comic Con. I love Atlanta. I got to tell you, Chelle, I loved Atlanta. You know, I loved the city. I thought the people were super kind. I love the restaurants. Wow. I just thought it was a really great place to have a Comic Con.
It is great. Is it coming up, or are they postponing it?
Well, it's usually in October, but the one that's in Atlanta, the guy running it wasn't, and I'll say this because it's well known, it wasn't very reputable. Certain actors were not getting paid. Certain actors not getting paid, and he really wasn't being above board. People paid for photo ops. Anyway, it was too bad, because people would bring their families, their kids. People would be so happy, and it's like, but it'll come back. I think it'll come back, because The Walking Dead will never leave us. I mean, people love it too much. Three final questions for you. What do you love most about the character you're playing?
I think because she, I think she's very just sweet. I don't get to play a lot of sweet characters, and she's very sweet and very like awestruck by this really weird, different Eugene character. And there's something very sweet, and I really like the connection that Stephanie and Eugene have. I think that's been what's been most fun about this.
No, I from watching on the outside, you can really see it, but let's just hope it stays that way. Cough one if it does. No, I'm just kidding. Who is your favorite character from the show and all the years that have gone by? Who's the character that, like, you know, you are just so, I don't want to say awestruck, but you're just so, you're just fond of?
I think Carol.
Good call.
Carol, like, because she was so like this just sheep at the beginning, and then she just grew this like the biggest pair of balls I've ever seen, and like she was just like running it. I love her character. Very cool ups and downs with it, and she's just an incredible actor.
Yeah. I got to say though, that horse scene early in the season, you remember we talked off air about, you know, owning dogs. That's the type of stuff I get overly sensitive to, but I'm nitpicking here. But my last question for you is, you brought this up earlier. I was going to ask this to you. You did have the opportunity, for those listening, to work with Al Pacino and Ray Liotta. We will end the interview with you talking about your experiences with both.
I hope that I will love this industry as much as they still love it, because I'm telling you, both of them were like kids at a candy store. One really cool thing that Al Pacino did that really shaped me, and that I had to stop being like so like fangirl on the inside. I'm playing opposite of like one of the most incredible legends. There was an interrogation scene that we both had, and he was interrogating me, and he was trying to get me to like say something. And my tears like were not coming out of my face anymore. And so he changed up something in the pictures that he was revealing to me. And then he pushed them to me, and it was just so organic. And that's the take that they used. And it was just having that kind of like co-star, like that will do that. And it's like, there was no ego. Like there was so much love for this moment to birth between the two of us. And like and then the same thing with Ray Liotta. Like it was every time that like they were shocking me, and I don't know if you saw the episode, but they shocked me. Mm-hmm. And with Drea, they were putting this thing on me to kind of like electrocute me, and every single time he brought something different, and like it just really showed me like, you have got to listen as an actor, because we want to get so in the words, and we want to micromanage, and we want to plan everything out, but then you lose the fun. And it was so much fun being on set with those two legends. I'm very fortunate to have them at the beginning of my career. They're incredible.
Yeah, and I am so excited about what the future holds for you. I mean, it is so bright.
Thank you.
Yeah,
thank you.
Chelle, thank you so much for coming on the podcast today. You are such a good person, and I wish you nothing but success moving forward.
I so appreciate it. This was so much fun. Thank you so much.